You're listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, episode 21. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, where positivity and spirituality create an enhanced life's journey with the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha. I am your host, Iya Omileti Olubumi. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. I am Iya Omileti. Thank you for hanging out with me, for spending some of your time to discuss all things Orisha. So, have a little relax with a cup of coffee or tea or juice. Put on your sunglasses while you drive or pop in your earbuds and let's chat for a while. Today's episode is being brought to you by our very own Orisha Wisdom's Ori affirmations. Want to know what Ori is? Want to connect with Ori? Have no clue what it is? It's okay. I have a free resource available just for you. Just go to www.orishawisdom.com/Ori1, which is ORI and the number 1. Today's topic is to Yoruba or not to Yoruba. Translation, please. With that, let's get this party started. There is no doubt that these traditions come from Nigeria. None whatsoever. A western section in Africa. And the main language, although there are many dialects there, is Yoruba. The people are Yoruba. When speaking of Yoruba, it's not just a religion, it's a tradition. The people of that tradition. When you come into these traditions, you get here super eagerly wanting to learn, wanting to know, and absorbing as well as applying all of the information that you possibly can get your hands on as quickly as you can. The internet, it plays a huge part of this now. Not only do we have to connect with something called Eguns, Orisha, and everything else that comes along with it, but now we have to do it in another language, right? But do we? Do we have to do it in Yoruba right now, right this second? In these traditions, you will find a different thought process, I guess, with different spiritual houses. Some houses say that it's okay that you go online and that you get prayers and you do them at home by yourself. No matter where the prayers are, as long as it's in Yoruba for the Orisha, you're fine. There are the DIYers. That's what I call the DIYers. They just go online, find a prayer with its translation or not, and then they go home and they do their prayer. They get their Orisha on. Then you have others with the following thought process. Nope, don't do it in Yoruba just yet. Oh no, please don't turn off this podcast just yet. Just give me a chance. If you would have told me this when I was 20, I would have turned off this podcast and tuned you out. But no one explained this to me as I now understand it, and then explained to me the why. The why you do not just do things in Yoruba in the beginning. My point of view has been taught by my Egbe, and this is the belief that I have been taught. In the beginning, you should totally stick with your native language when you do prayers. We're not trying to hinder your growth at all. On the contrary, that is actually the fastest track to learning and connecting and doing your inner work. I recently got this explanation from an elder in our Egbe. Why do you do prayers in your native tongue? Simple. Because that is what your Ori will accept. And it took me a while for me to grasp this. Anyway, he says, you doing it in Yoruba will be like an English speaker reciting some prayer in Chinese. It's meaningless, even if the translation is written right under it. Why? Your Ori doesn't really make any connection to that language. Therefore, what benefit are you going to get from that? Nothing. You're probably butchering the words anyway. Who knows what you're really saying by your mispronunciations, and your Ori isn't even, quote unquote, there with you. It's not syncing with whatever it is that you are saying. Oh, don't shake your head. Trust me, when the time comes, you will be expected to begin to learn Yoruba prayers. And by then, hopefully, your foundation will be a little more solid. And then you will be put on the spot and expected to know certain things and expected to connect with them too. Don't rush the process. There will be time for everything. There are steps in anything. It's just not, let me read this in Yoruba, Yoruba, because sometimes people don't even pronounce Yoruba correctly. They'll say something like Yoruba. And hopefully I'm saying this right because this is the language of the Orishas, right? The truth is that foundational transformation is most important. The language is not. Okay, yes, it is. This is where it gets a little more into the nitty-gritty. Yes, we believe that there is the power in the word, ofoashe. However, your Ori does not understand and grasp what is being said because it's in Russian. To it, it's just, that's it. It's in Russian. It doesn't matter. Even if you are saying, I know this is something spiritual, I have to say it. To your brain, it's Russian with some, sparkle of Chinese to it. How will it begin to assimilate with the changes that you're trying to ask for, or whatever the purpose of the prayer is? Let's take the Lukumi branch. Let's take the very basic Mojuba prayer, which every santero or priest should know, at least the version of their lineage. And you find it on the net, and you absolutely can. And you learn it as best as you can. And you begin Mojuba Lofi, Mojuba Loru, Mojuba Lotumari, etc., etc. Will you really connect to the beauty of that prayer? You're just making sounds, really, instead of really capturing the essence of those words, what you're really paying homage to. And in that order, you might learn it. You might even learn what it's translated to. But right now, your Ori just will not connect to it. Just not yet. It took you years to learn the language that was native to you. And if you have learned a second or a third language, it took you some time for that too. I think that there was something that I remember hearing. It's your language if you start dreaming in that language. Foundationally and really for your benefit, grab prayers in your native tongue. Okay, if you speak English, Spanish, and French because you're absolutely fluent in them, then great. Grab a prayer in one of those. All right, now you must be ready to yank your earbuds out of your ears and throw your iPhone across the room, or maybe not, and saying, well, Iya, when the heck am I supposed to learn the Yoruba ones then? When? I have a simple answer. When your godparent works with you on one. Oh, please don't roll your eyes just yet. Our traditions have structures, and although many of us are raised old school in them, there really are explanations to them. Number 1, your godparent will begin to teach you prayers in your lineage and work with you on them. They may be little prayers, but the guidance of a spiritual teacher really has no price. It is that important. Number 2, there may be a prayer that you may need to work on because of where you are spiritually, and you may need to connect with that one first for a direct benefit to you. How do you get this? Through readings and ebos that may come out for you. And this is one of the ways that things begin. This is how it begins here. Your godparent or the priest who is helping you will guide you through this. This is part of his or her responsibility. Number 3, an Orisha may come down and ask you to learn a particular prayer or praise for that Orisha to help you through something. I was once at an event, and an Orisha came down on one of its priests, singing a particular song I had not heard of, and then with an oriki. Folks were scrambling trying to write it down as it became important for someone that was present. When that happens, then that person should, of course, learn it in Yoruba and the why, and it should be given right away to the person. Of course, the oriki, the explanation, and why it's important. And that's all part of the growth that people will experience. Number 4, you may have now undergone an initiation. Let's say getting warriors, right? Ilekes or something like that. You will get an odu. You should get a set of prayers that come along with that. And the why. Because these prayers are for your personal development within your spiritual or financial or health, relationships, parentals, or other areas, other aspects in your life. These 4 whys are just the beginning as to the why stick to just your language when it comes to prayers in the beginning, just in the beginning, or until you have your spiritual person to guide you on your journey, what we tend to call as your godparent, your Iya, your Baba. I'm going to share with you this scenario from 2 points of view. You might have heard me say this sometime, but when I started, I was hungry for information. And the babalawo that I was working with would just look at me, and I remember he would just shake his head and smile. And sometimes he would really shake his head. Sometimes he wouldn't even answer some questions because I would go through them in rapid fire manner. Really, I did. It was just spitting out questions one after the next. And really, I just wanted to learn. I would print out stuff from the internet, and he would tell me, don't look at that just yet. He would tell me, save that for later. I personally felt as though he was stopping me. He was being all lax with me because, he was already a priest. He didn't need to help me, nor he wanted to help me. Not in a bad way. I just felt like I wasn't a priority. Now, same situation, but it's being done to us as priests. They ask and ask and ask. Oh, can you tell me about this? Tell me about this. And how do you say this in Yoruba? And give me a prayer for this. And will you, please, please, please? And if they get you on the phone, the questions keep coming. And it's okay. And I look at them through very different eyes now. It's more like I know that their connections with their Ori is not great yet. So that has to be handled first. Or I see their relationship with their ancestors, or there's ancestral work that needs to be done, and they need to handle that first, etc. There are just foundational steps that must be mastered first before moving on. Unfortunately, some folks will want to jump over steps without developing each foundational step first. It's like skipping steps. If we do not fix and actually not even fix, if we do not build and strengthen each foundational area, then we will always be stalling in life. Sadly, many of us will keep stalling because of the allure of doing things with the Orisha and then doing it what we call, quote unquote, air quotes here, the right way in Yoruba, because that will make us so much more spiritual, right? I wish that I would have understood this truth much earlier on. I would have had a more enjoyable spiritual journey filled with spiritual connection and much less stress. If only I could have understood that my Ori just didn't understand me trying to speak Yoruba, which I did butcher up anyway. Actually, thinking about it, I don't even know what it was that I was conjuring up when I was doing those prayers. Right now, you may be like, Iya, I'm really not hearing any of this, and I want to get my Yoruba on. And really, I get it. When you come here, when you want to get your Yoruba on, I just hope that you remember the following. When it is time, your godparents will begin to teach you prayers in your lineage just for you to work with. And yes, they will be in Yoruba, promise. As you keep going, you're going to have to do Ebo, and then you'll have to learn prayers which are particular to you and your growth for that Ebo, for you to just move forward. As you keep going on your journey, you may encounter an Orisha who comes down to earth and may ask you to learn a Yoruba song or a Yoruba prayer. As you keep going, you'll need initiations, and those things come with itas. And what do those come with? They come with Yoruba prayers just for you. Don't worry, there will be a time for you to get your Yoruba on. Just trust the process. Don't worry, there will be a time for you to get your Yoruba on. Trust the process. When it comes to Yoruba or not to Yoruba, focus on your Ori, what it understands. It understands English? Then English prayers. It understands Swahili? Swahili prayers it is. Chinese? Chinese it is. There will be time. There will be time. Trust the process. Make your journey a lot smoother and enjoyable. We've reached the end of this episode in the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, and I'd like to thank you for spending your time with me. For show notes of this episode, go to www.orishawisdom.com/21. What are your thoughts on doing your Yoruba prayers in the beginning on your own from a book or the internet? Do you agree with waiting just a bit until you get your prayers with some guidance? I'd love to hear from you. And the best place to hear it all is to hop on over to our Facebook community called the Orisha Wisdom Community. Remember also to go on over to orishawisdom.com/Ori1, that's ORI and the number 1, to get your Ori affirmations. Bring to your life the power of Ofo Ashe, which is translated from Yoruba, power of the word. And really, this Yoruba knowledge can completely, truly change your life. And you can begin today. Need to remember where to go? Easy. orishawisdom.com/Ori1 or go to the show notes and it'll be there as well. Before I go today, I would love to ask for a favor, which would mean a lot to me. Hop on over to iTunes and leave me a comment on the podcast. If you're driving, please don't do this. It can wait. Really, it can. But only a few minutes of your time would be so helpful to me to continue to provide this podcast for you. I can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, may the elevated ancestors and all Orisha bless you immensely. Odabo.
Thank you for listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes at orishawisdom.com/podcast. Can't get enough of Orisha Wisdom? Check us out at orishawisdom.com and subscribe to our community. Remember, the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha is all around us. Be blessed, and until next time.